Hello, wonderful and amazing creatures. How are we this evening? I hope we're doing a lot better than people in Texas are doing this weekend, particularly Allensville and Brownsville, I believe. Man, there's horrific stuff coming out of there. But before we get too down in the dumps, let me check and make sure my interwebs is working. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, it's just it's if you guys haven't seen the footage coming out of there, don't go looking for it. It's horrific. It's bad. Out of both Allen, Texas and Brownsville. Yeah, not Allensville, sorry. Allen, Texas and Brownsville. The images coming out of there it's just bad. It's really bad. And I am going to share some stuff with you, and it's going to be a heavy show because we're going to have to look at some gory stuff. And yeah, before we get into it, how's everybody this weekend? Are we doing great? I hope so. I hope we didn't. I hope we just didn't sit around. I hope we went out and touched some grass. You know, I went out to Henry Cal today. I did my first long run in quite some time. My first double-digit run in a while. I went and did 10 miles, and I was actually scared before. I was nervous. It was okay. It went good. It was nice. Hey Ivan. I like your name, Ivan. Yeah, your name distracted me. It threw me right off. Yeah, the run was good today. Henry Cal State Park. I ended up with some new trails that I don't ordinarily go on. So I hope you guys went out and enjoyed the weekend. It's springtime in California. We're seeing. I actually tried to pull up some images that I took today. The flowers are popping up. It's beautiful outside, you know. So I wanted to show some pretty things before we got into death and gore, but we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. I will not delay, and I'm also not gonna say I'm not gonna say tonight's show isn't gonna. I'm not gonna say this show's gonna go. It's gonna go the full distance. I'm pretty sure. Just saying. I'm not gonna jinx myself this time. So let's get into it. You guys might want to look away if you don't want to see death and gore, because that's what's coming up right now. I'm about to share my screen. So in about 10 seconds here, there's going to be something pretty bad on the screen. I'll let you know. But I kind of have to show this to give perspective of how horrific this whole thing was. I'll try to click quickly and not. Dang it. I blew it. Yep, there it is. Well, you guys can see it. I try not to show the killer or mention his name, but if I'm going to do it, it's going to be with a bullet through his eye. So I'll try not to mention his name. I might do it on accident, but this guy I'll show you the only footage I'm going to show you is the footage of him actually opening fire, but it's from the rear perspective, so you can't actually see anybody going. Well, you can see people getting shot. So be prepared for what I'm about to show you, because it is extremely gory, as you can see here. And this man was stopped, luckily, by an on-duty officer, I believe, that was responding to a different call nearby, and he happened to be there. Just thank God, because this guy had a pistol. You could see he had additional magazines. We'll just go to this is the footage. So this is his Dodge Challenger. So, I mean, you guys, it's horrific. So that's the footage of the actual shooting itself. You can see the footage of. Luckily, the officer took him down quickly because this dude had extra magazines. Looks like the magazine that he had in his firearm was a 50-round magazine. That's what it looked like to me. And he has additional magazines here. I'll stop sharing the screen now. He also had a pistol, apparently. This does look like an AR. Yeah, it's an AR. Yeah, it's an AR for sure. And yeah, so naturally, you know what everybody's calling for immediately. We'll get into that in a bit, but I am not going to share this article because it shows his name, and I don't want to mention his name. His name shall not be mentioned on this show. But I do want to read the details because there's some interesting ones. And it's the same picture that I just showed you guys. It cropped out his hand. And I'll show you the picture of his hand, a close-up of it. And he does have a tattoo. It looks like a triple D tattoo. This is a local Dallas tattoo. Sound Spectre, sup, G? Cool Spark, how you doing? Florida, awesome. So this dude, yeah, he had a triple D Dallas tattoo on his hand. And it's really hard to tell what was in the middle of the tattoo because we'll get into the tattoo in a little bit. Let me read this article from Today News Africa, and this was put out by Simon Atiba. Well, he tweeted this article out. I don't think he wrote it, but let's read their article. I'm sure it won't be. I'm sure they'll, it's a Today News Africa, so they probably don't have too highly of an opinion of America. So we'll just keep that in mind when reading this. A typical weekend shopping trip turned into a horrific scene when 33-year-old, I'm not going to mention his name, dressed in full SWAT gear and armed with an AR-15 and a handgun, unleashed terror on unsuspecting shoppers outside of an H&M store in Allen, Texas. A police officer who happened to be at the scene for an unrelated call heroically responded to the gunfire and managed to stop the assailant. Garcia was fatally shot, but not before taking the lives of 8 innocent people, including children. And the images that I have to go through, like, I don't want to see this stuff. And I can't believe people that retweet it and share it. It's like, I don't know why you'd want that on your feed, but there's raw images. Somebody, I don't know why you do this. The person that took this footage is, I don't know. I mean, he walked up to the pile of dead bodies and recorded them with his phone. And he put it on the internet, and a bunch of people started retweeting it. And it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. It's, I'll describe it to you. It's a man. It looks like in the foreground, a man, his wife, and a child, and they're basically all collapsed on top of each other. And there's 2 people behind them up against a wall, and one person's trying to give aid. It looks like somebody's still alive around the corner. Other people are dead because there's also chopper footage of overhead, and it's later when all the bodies are covered up. But you can count at least 7, I believe, in the footage. It says at least 8 people here. 8 people. NBC News, citing a source, revealed that, I'm not going to say his name, had additional ammunition and weapons in the car as well. So he had the AR, and it looks like 3 or 4 magazines. He had full kit. But he's wearing Converse like an asshole. Sorry, Shelly. But so just walking around with what he had, he had a pistol and at least 3 additional magazines, at least 30-round magazines. I think they're 50-round magazines, because there's another angle of him lying dead on the ground, and it's a better picture of his rifle, and the magazine's pretty freaking long. It looks like I think it's a 50-round magazine. But yeah, I'll continue. The chilling detail suggests that the tragic event could have been even worse. Yeah, definitely. So if that cop wasn't there, Photographs from the scene show the gunman still clad in SWAT gear and with semi-automatic rifle by his side, lying lifeless outside a nearby store, just that distance from the H&M. Yeah, it was like right outside the Fat Burger, I believe, is the store that it was. It was like a restaurant. But this just every time I hear about this, I want to know about this badass cop too. Like, you guys know how I feel. I'm not a huge fan of the cops, especially after recent years, but if you're going to go and take out a bad guy, especially by yourself, and it's like that's not even what you're responding to, you just happen to be there and you see a dude mowing down innocent people and all you got your pistol too, like, I assume that's all he had. I assume he didn't go to his vehicle and get his rifle. And he got him right through the eye. Like, and he probably saw that he was in full kit, assumed that he was plated. He was like, all right, I got to dome this guy. So he did, got him right through the eye. Freaking kudos. Whoever this officer is, super cop, badass, you're awesome. And can you go just take this cop that domed this evil monster and send him to Uvalde? Fire everybody else, fire everybody at the Uvalde Police Department, every single freaking cop, and just send this one guy. And that is now the Uvalde Police Department. So I hope there's footage of this super cop doming this fool because I want to see it. That's like the gore that I do want to see. The cop doming this horrible, evil demon. All right, I'll keep reading. Photographs from the scene. I'd already read this. Photographs from the scene show the gunman still clad in his SWAT gear with semi-automatic rifle by his side, lying lifeless outside a nearby store, just a short distance from H&M. As the community struggles to come to terms with the shocking violence, authorities continue their investigation to uncover the motive behind the senseless attack. So that's the end of that article. And I was trying to find information about this dude all last night. Like all last night, you couldn't find information about him. And I wish I would have pulled these articles up, but immediately the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post are saying, oh yeah, this guy looks like they're saying they're calling him a white supremacist. It was right off the bat. They're calling him a white supremacist. It was amazing, like right off the freaking bat. And if you look up his name and you look at his pictures, he's clearly not a white supremacist. And we'll also get into his tattoo, which may or may not have any gang or cartel affiliation. I'm not an expert in this stuff. I'm actually pretty freaking ignorant when it comes to the gang tattoos and cartels and all that crap. They do fascinate me though. Like the stuff that Texas has to deal with is insane. And it's crazy because our earmuffs, Shelley, our bitch ass Governor Gavin Newsom is always attacking Greg Abbott. And it's like, you're a jerk, Gavin Newsom. He's in a wheelchair. All right. You're an ableist. Okay. You're such an ableist, Gavin Newsom, attacking a man in a wheelchair. But these things are thrown on Greg Abbott by the federal government. You know, he literally can't do anything about his border. He's like not allowed to. That's it. Texas should secede from the union and be like, all right, we're our own country and we're putting up we're doing our own border defense now. I mean, that's another topic. We'll talk about something. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, Gavin Newsom's attacking Greg Abbott, you know, of course, about all this stuff. And it's like, well, okay. We had this shooting yesterday. The 5 days ago, or I don't know how long ago it was, like a week ago, we had I'm not going to say his name, but the dude out in what was it, Cleveland, Texas, I believe. You know, the story of the lady that comes over and tells him to stop firing his weapon. He's out in his yard firing his weapon, and he goes and murders all of them. And I'm still super suspect about that whole story. Like, I really feel like we're missing some information there. And that dude apparently, you know, been deported several times, not supposed to be here. And we'll see if he has any sort of affiliations a little bit later. But okay, let's all right, silly Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted something out that I want to look at. I think it was her. Actually, no, I'm not gonna show that one. Yeah, there's stuff that's gonna show his face. Yeah, you had the shooter in Cleveland, Texas. You got the shooter yesterday in Allen, Texas, and then we'll talk about the Brownsville, basically massacre that happened today. And yeah, trigger warning: I am going to show the footage. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. But I feel that stuff like this needs to be shown to illustrate what's happening out there. This is madness, and we'll show what else is happening in Brownsville at the same time. I mean, and this wasn't done with a gun. This was done with a car. The guy decided to mow down a bunch of people with a freaking car. And the authorities are saying that's looking more and more like it was intentional as well. So, all right, we'll see about that. Yeah, I'm not gonna. What'd you say there, Ivan? The Carlton hotel job? What's that? I don't know that. I don't know what that is, Ivan. Terry Wallace, how we doing? Yeah, they were. Oh, so yeah, yesterday they were talking about a second gunman at some point. But yeah, I don't know why they were talking about that, Terry. They might have it might have just because there were so many gunshots, because there was. And it did sound like that last round of gunshots, it sounded like it kind of sounded like he switched weapons. It's hard to tell. It might have just been because the car, like the dash cam, had backed up so far. But it kind of sounded like he changed weapons, like he switched to his sidearm. But I'm totally speculating there. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm Soundwave Spectre. Freaking Squirrel. That's you, right? I know people like to share that weird crap, and I am going to share it, though. So I'm sorry, dude. Because I do have to show this next one because it's just so freaking bad. Some of the stuff I just have pulled up to sort of remind me, but the Allen perpetrator yesterday, do I have his tattoo pulled up? I don't. You know what? All right, so I am going to show this to you. Dang it, because I don't want to show. I don't have a way to show this to you without. You know what? Let me pull up something different. Stand by, guys. I'm gonna go to my good old trusty bookmarks here before. So I don't have to show you his face, because I want to show you his tattoo, the tattoo that this guy had on his hand. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. And I'm talking about the shooter from Allen yesterday. Oh, okay, perfect. Right here. All right, let's do this. I shall show you. I am sorry. I lag. I should have had this pulled up before. But I really want to make sure that I show you guys the tattoo. All right, stand by. Let's see. Hey, what's going on here? Sorry. Okay, here we go. So I'm not a Texas person. I got some family out there, but they're outside of Houston. So can you guys see this tattoo here? So I'm being told this is a triple D tattoo. And it's hard to see what's in the middle, but I got a lot of replies back on this, and a lot of people sent me pictures, and a lot of people commented on this tweet. So let's go through the comments really quick. So this is the city of Dallas right here. And that, you know, it looks like it could be that. It's hard to tell. Looks like it's not oriented quite properly. I thought it was like an outline of the state of Texas at first, is what I thought it was. But it's definitely that triple D symbol, I would say. Right, guys? You know, it's like it's open right here. You can see it's 3 lines going all the way around. It looks like it's a really crappy tattoo. Like whoever did it isn't good. Also, his the cuff of his sleeve looks like it's covering up the top of it. But yeah, it definitely looks like it's that triple D logo. Right? That's the city of Dallas, and then there's other. So that's another common one with the star in the middle. You know, the Dallas Star. I'm sorry, that's that jerk laying on the ground with a bullet through his eye. A lot of people responded to this. Yes, and then another person, City of Dallas logo. And then, so this is the City of Dallas logo turned the other way. This actually looks like what it is to me. So good job, Jen. Yeah, that's what I think it is. But you know, and I don't know why that would have any sort of gang affiliation, but I have heard several people now say something about this dude possibly being associated with a gang called Tango Blast, which I've never heard of. Well, I mean, I never heard of any. Only gang I've ever heard of is like MS-13 and the Crips and the Bloods, and you know, and I think there's little like sub gangs within those. I'm freaking nerdy. I don't know. Gang time. I don't know about gangs. I'm sorry, guys. So I'm doing my best here. But Tango Blast is what I'm being told, or is what people are saying. So, alrighty, let's yeah, I'm not even going to share it. I'm just going to read it. Gateway Pundit. I like the Gateway Pundit. You know, they get some stuff wrong sometimes, but they correct themselves, and yeah, they try to talk about the stuff that the big media places aren't talking about. You know, it's so crazy how they're calling this guy a white supremacist, like right off the bat, or you know, some of the tweets that were coming out about the shooter in Allen yesterday was just the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. It was just insane. All right, from the Gateway Pundit. On Sunday morning, a Range Rover SUV intentionally plowed. I'm sorry, we're jumping over to Brownsville now. On Sunday morning, a Range Rover SUV intentionally plowed into pedestrians in Brownsville, Texas, killing 7 people. The incident occurred at 8:30 in the morning in the front of Ozanam Center, a shelter for illegal aliens and the homeless at the intersection of Minnesota Road and North Bernal Road. The vehicle reportedly drove up on the curb in front of a bus stop where a group of individuals believed to be migrants were waiting. What we see in the video is what we see in the video is that the SUV just ran the red light and was about 100 feet away and just went right through people who were sitting there at the bus stop. Shelter director Victor Maldonado told the Associated Press. And yeah, according to Lieutenant Martin Sandoval, 7 people were killed on the scene and multiple people are being treated for serious and minor injuries at the hospital. Fox News reported that the driver of the vehicle was a Hispanic male and has been taken into custody. According to the authorities, the driver is currently being treated at the hospital and is under 24-hour guard monitoring. Police have claimed that they are currently conducting tests to determine if there has been any drugs or alcohol use. Sandoval stated that the driver has been arrested for reckless driving. Additional charges, according to Sandoval, are imminent. He added. He added that it's starting to appear more and more like it was intentional. And yeah, that's sort of interesting to me. Just looking at the footage, to me, it looks like somebody lost control of their vehicle. Because if somebody's I'm going to show you guys the footage, and it is horrific, but I'm not going to show you guys the footage of the aftermath, which is 10 times more horrific. I'll just say that there's footage of a guy. There's footage of the aftermath, and it's mangled bodies, and there's a dude with the bottom half of his leg just chopped off, and there's another guy trying to put a tourniquet on it out of his belt. And kudos to that guy. Quick thinking. Like, I mean, a lot of people would freak out and not know what to do. But yeah, there's a guy like a few inches below his knee was just chopped off. It genuinely looked like a war scene. It was absolutely horrific. All right, so that's that article from the Gateway Pundit. And all right, I'm gonna show you guys the footage. So just be ready here. You're gonna see some horrific stuff in about 10 seconds. So you might want to look away now. I'll tell you when it's over. And this is, we should see this to know what's happening. That's much like why I showed you the actual footage from the shooting yesterday. Not the bodies afterwards, but the actual shooting. Guy pulling up, getting out of his car, just opening up on people. It's insane. But I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to that shooting yesterday a little bit. My first thought on that shooting from yesterday, well, just my perspective seeing it, that car was sitting there for a minute before, and it looked like he was waiting for, I thought it was a hit right off the bat. This looked like he was waiting for a specific group of people, and he gets out and he targets them and mows them down. So, and then anybody else I would imagine got caught in the crossfire. That was my first thought, but they're making it seem like it was just a random act. Hold on really quick, guys. I don't know. I need to make sure my internet is working. Hold on. All right. I guess you guys are still there. So give me a thumbs up if you guys are. My internet's still working. I'm getting funny notifications over here. All right. Yeah. Be aware. I'm about to show you guys some horrific crap. Starting now. All right. Be ready, guys. Here it is. All right. And I'm going to play it twice. All right. Looks like some children. I'm not going to play it twice. I'm sorry. I don't want to see that again. Oh, crap. Okay. Pause. Okay, good. So, yeah, to me, that looked like a car that, like, they mistook the gas for the brake pedal and drove up on the curb and flipped over. I don't know. If they were trying to take a bunch of people out, you'd think they would try to crash, but I don't know. The cop saying it looked that they think it looked intentional, or the more and more they look into it, the more they think it looked intentional. Yeah. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Yeah, it's just, this stuff really breaks my brain. I can't. Why? Like, I don't understand what is happening. 2 days in a row. I don't know how close Brownsville is to Allen. Let's look. Where is Brownsville, Texas? I don't know if any of you folks are from Texas that are watching right now. So Brownsville. Okay, so that's right. Like, that's close to the ocean. Okay, that's way far out there. Fairly close to the border, I guess. But I think that's pretty far from Allen, which I think is close to Dallas, I believe. Yeah. So still, just two horrific things coming out of Texas 2 days in a row, and well, we're going to see some other. I got this. We're going to see some other stuff coming out of Brownsville. Yeah, and I got another video pulled up of him, the guy that mowed them down. Yeah, it's a Hispanic male, late 30s, early 40s. It looks like they got him cuffed on the ground. He's got no shirt on. I don't know. A lady standing over him looks like she wants to kill him, but the cops are right there, so she can't. And then this is the other video. I have the other video pulled up. That's the aftermath of the scene. It's like before the cops got there, just right after it happened. It's so crazy how just people start recording this horrific stuff. I mean, I guess I kind of get it. I mean, I'd be jumping in trying to render aid, but yeah, I guess somebody's gonna record, right? Somebody's always gonna record this crap. But yeah, Brownsville, Texas. If you guys want to look, you guys could go and look for the footage if you want. I'm not going to show it, but you just saw the car mow down a ton of people. I would think it would be more than 7 dead, but that's almost the same amount as they got killed yesterday in Allen. So it's just insane. And of course, everybody's calling for banning the AR-15. All the normal people, even though it happened at a gun-free zone in Texas, gun-free zone. So already that AR-15 wasn't allowed there. I wonder why he didn't listen to that rule. And if you ban the AR-15, there's still stupid like carbine rifles. It's just so dumb. They're going to want to try to ban some arbitrary thing. Like they'll probably go after high capacity magazines, anything over 10 rounds. They're probably going to try to California everyone's magazines. So expect that is what I would expect from all of this. They're going to try to California your magazines. So, when you look at a rifle, doesn't it look like there's a magazine in there? I suspect that's what they're going to try and do. Make everything 10 rounds max. That's what I would imagine. And then everybody will find a way around that with 3D printers and loopholes and laws and changing springs and all that kind of crap. So, let's read this little article from the New York Post that I came across because I haven't read the whole thing yet, and it seemed interesting, but I didn't have time to read the whole thing before the show started. So I just figured I would read it on screen and react live in front of you guys. I'm sure you're so interested about that. But it's about crap. I don't want to show. You know what? I'm not gonna share it. I'm not gonna share it on screen because it shows his name. I'm just gonna read the article. But I need to get lubed up on Red Bull first, so I don't know if I can get this whole thing to disappear right now. I don't know if I want to, because it'll be all belchy. Shelly likes it when I burp. I don't think you guys will. Oh, yeah, I could do it. You guys don't want that to happen, though. Okay. All right. This article from the New York Post. This is about the dude from Cleveland, Texas, that the first mass murder that's taken place in Texas in the last week. The guy that decided to go murder all his neighbors because they told him to stop shooting his gun. Well, accused gunman, name that shall not be mentioned. The illegal immigrant from Mexico who allegedly gunned down 5 of his Texas neighbors reportedly had a death cult tattoo shrine in his reportedly had a death cult shrine in his bedroom, where candles were still seen burning 2 days after the massacre. A law enforcement, okay, so that's weird. That sounds like some Santeria crap. Like, they found the candles still burning 2 days after. So like this, okay, this sounds creepy as hell. A law enforcement source who saw the scene told the Center of Immigration Studies that name that shall not be mentioned, elaborate shrine honored the Santa Maria death cult. The shrine of Nostra Senora, Nostra Senora de la Santa Muerta. Nostra Senora de la Santa Muerta, as it is formally called, included several statues of patron saints, patron saints, a stack of $2 bills. That's weird, a stack of $2 bills. $2 bills are cool. At least the old ones. They started reprinting them. Sorry, I'm a weirdo. Flowers and tinfoil filled with an apparent drug, ostensibly offering to protect the accused killer. Okay. 2 tall candles were still burning Monday, 2 days after the name that shall not be mentioned, who's 38 years old, allegedly used AR-15 style rifle to kill 5 neighbors when he was asked to stop firing the weapon in his Cleveland, Texas yard. The Mexican national, who has repeatedly been deported 4 times, was captured Tuesday night while hiding underneath the laundry in a home in the Texas city of Conroe after authorities received a tip about his whereabouts. The following of Santa Muerta, the personification of death, began in Mexico during the mid-20th century, and its devotees have grown in number in the last 20 years or so. All right, this is creepy. Okay, maybe I do want to show you these tattoos. Maybe I can show this without showing his name. Let's see here. If it shows his name, I'm going to immediately get rid of the screen, and I will apologize. Okay, good. Awesome. Well, I'm pretty sure you can see. Well, just wanted to show you these tattoos. So this is on his back, his forearm. I don't know. These mean nothing to me. That's the Grim Reaper. What is that? Looks like a weird. Is that a lion? I don't know. Cool barbed wire tattoo, bro. All right. Let's stop sharing that really quick. Continue reading. Okay. I'm sorry, I almost said his name. One of the name who shall not be mentioned's tattoos features the traditional Santa Muerta figure, a skeleton figure draped in robes and clutching a sickle, the Grim Reaper. It gained popularity among drug trafficking cartel syndicates and is also the criminal underworld in general. I'll read that again. It gained popularity among drug trafficking cartel syndicates and also in the criminal underworld in general, with adherents believing that the prayers and offerings provide them with protection from the law. Okay, this guy sounds like a freaking somebody that we should just be letting right in. One of this jerk's names, no, I just read that. Anyone who has a Santa Maria shrine is linked to the criminal underworld. Retired Texas Department of Public Safety Captain Jason Jones, who worked for years on the intelligence to fight Mexico's drug cartels, told CIS. That was, you guys could have wrote that sentence better. It doesn't necessarily mean they're connected to the cartels, even though the cartels are all over Mexico. Even though the cartels all over Mexico follow the cult, but you can at least link him to the criminal underworld through Santa Muerta, he added. His name shall not be mentioned, who faces 5 counts of murder, will be held on a $5 million bond. San Jacinto County Sheriff Greg Capers told Tuesday night after the suspect was collared. They really still say that? This is some old school cops. After we collared him. Grieving dad Wilson Garcia said that the wife confronted the shooter, believing he wouldn't shoot a woman, but Sonia Guzman, 25, was the first to die. Grieving dad Wilson Garcia. Okay. Jeez. Followed by her son, Daniel Enrique Lasso, 9 years old, who rushed to try to help her. Oh, God. This is freaking. Oh, man. I'm looking at a picture of her and her adorable son that was murdered. Another strapping young man that was apparently, I mean, looks like late teens, early 20s. Jose Jonathan Casares. He was also killed. 2 other girls, Diana Velasquez Alvarado, and Jalissa Molina Rivera as well. 21 and 31. Oh, and Jose Jonathan Casares, he was 18. It's a whole family. All were said to have been shot execution style from the neck up. This is unreal. This sounds so much. This doesn't sound like it's just from her going out to tell him to stop shooting the gun. He had all the candles burning and stuff, and like they do their whole thing before they're going to commit a crime, so it protects them against the law, right? So it's like this sounds much more premeditated. Like, did she confront him and he got so mad that he went in the house and was like, I'm going to murder all these people, and did the shrine and then went over and murdered them? Like, is that what happened? This is insane. But again, so in this instance, of course, they're using this to call for it's insane that a dude that's like linked to obviously the criminal underworld, potentially the cartels, has been deported like 4 times, and the media doesn't talk about any of that stuff while the border's going crazy right now. And the thing they're calling for after this event, they're talking about AR-15s because of the weapon this dude chose to murder an entire family with, where he could have used the same weapon that the trans shooter in Nashville used, a Kel-Tec Sub 2000, which is a 9mm carbine rifle. It's people don't understand what they're calling for as well. It's the people at the top trying to, demonize the AR-15. They know exactly what they're calling for. They know that they're a bunch of BS, but they know that all they have to do is get the liberal wife moms and, idiots that don't know anything about guns and are terrified and won't even try to learn anything about firearms. That's all they have to convince, that, well, all these shootings would stop if you confiscated all of the law-abiding individuals' AR-15s. Meanwhile, how many weapons are already illegal on the streets of Chicago? Actually, I've been doing some research. I got a crazy show coming up because there is some hard data that we need to look at. And the farther I dig into this, the more I am absolutely befuddled because, yeah, there's definitely a trend with gun violence and where it's coming from. And there's some very hard data that we can look at. And there's some difficult conversations that need to be had. But for some reason, there's tons of really illegal guns floating around on streets of New Orleans. New Orleans is really bad. Some of these got to written down here. Freaking, yeah, New Orleans and Memphis are really bad. A bunch of other ones too. I got it written down somewhere. Yeah, a bunch of other ones. I got the data pulled up, but that's a different episode. But that's what everybody's calling for after this horrific event. A guy that was deported 4 times and shouldn't have been here. That could potentially be linked to the cartels, definitely linked to the underworld, criminal underworld. That shouldn't have been here. It's the rifle's fault. So that's it. Liberal logic. I mean, I don't know what to do about that. You can't fix stupid. I don't know what to do about that. You can't even argue with it. It's like arguing with a narcissist. You can't do it. It's just pointless. They're never going to admit they were wrong. They're not listening to a word you're freaking saying. So, all right, with those 3 within a week, we've had mass murders. 2 this weekend. The first one we can already tell, where we already know about the first mass murder that happened in Texas. The guy shouldn't have been here. Linked to the underworld, could potentially be linked to the cartels. The shooter yesterday. We don't know much about him. We got his name. All you could find yesterday was that they needed a translator, and you knew that he had the tattoo on his hand. But he's been identified today, and he, I believe, is potentially linked to the cartels as well. And then we're going to find out whatever about this guy today that mowed down all the people with his car, So the amount of people that they're letting in, I mean, even if it's 1%, even if 1% of the people that are coming in are really bad, are cartels, even if it's 0.1%, let's say it's 0.1%, that's 1 in every 1,000, right? 0.1%, 1 cartel member per 1,000. We've let in like 2 million this year, I believe. It's madness. Let's look. Let's look. Well, actually, let's listen to this. I'm gonna bring up a politician, so bear with me. He's running for Senate, so take everything what he says with a grain of salt. But let's see what he has to say about the border here. Sorry, I got him somewhere here. I promise. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Mark Lamb for Senate. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey folks, Sheriff Lamb here. So truth is becoming harder and harder to find, especially from our politicians and the media. So I wanted to give you some truth today, a little truth bomb. Joe Biden recently announced he's sending 1,500 troops to the border. While I applaud him sending that, I want the American people to understand that this is not to protect our border, to keep people from coming into this country illegally. Those 1,500 soldiers will be there to process people into this country a lot faster, so that you, the American people, don't realize what a disaster this border crisis is. And that is the truth. If you want more truth, make sure you come follow me at sherifflambforsenate.com and make sure you support us today. God bless. Stay safe.
All right. So what does he mean by processing, guys? So what he means by processing is they come across the border, and before they come across the border, they get rid of any way to identify themselves. And they basically like check in. The Border Patrol or whoever does this processing gives them like a notice to appear, like a notice to come back and do their thing. And there's so many of them coming over the border that they're just being put on buses and shipped all over the country. Like, you guys, this isn't I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from San Jose. And I grew up in a Mexican neighborhood. Like, this has been normal. My stepmom's Mexican. And yeah, a lot of people, a lot of close friends that I grew up with, their parents are straight from Mexico. My buddy Sergio freaking lives in Chihuahua. I still talk to him. And like, this isn't the same thing. This isn't just people from Mexico. This is people from all over the place coming here. Like, even illegal immigrants from Mexico that like came here, when I was growing up, like into the Bay Area, there's like a certain amount of like cultural assimilation. And I mean, I work side by side with these guys all the time. I'm a tradesman, they're not documented, but hey, I'm working, I'm here. These guys are here. I'm working. We're going to goof around and like, it's nice. They'll teach me a little Spanish. I teach them a little English. They're always usually cool guys. And they're not trying to ruffle any feathers. They're just looking for a better life themselves. And, you know, I've always sort of sympathized with that, but I still think, you know, obviously come here the legal way. But now this flood of immigrants coming over, illegal immigrants coming over, that isn't just from Mexico. This is a whole different thing. This is something completely different that we haven't seen before. And you're going to see it in your city. You're going to, and you know, the left will say the same thing. It's like the fear-mongering right. That's what they like, you know, they try to call everybody conspiracy theorists and say it's not happening. And then, well, we're going to see it's happening. It's happening. And this isn't like the replacement theory crap that they're trying to, you know, say you're racist, talking about replacement theories. Call it whatever it is. There's tons of illegal immigrants coming to this country. We're giving them a piece of paper telling them to come back, and then we're just sending them off into the world. And it's insane. And we already have. You think our homeless problem in California, you think it's going to help it? The homeless problem in California? No, it's probably not. It's probably not going to help the homeless problem in California. And at least I think they can come to California. And if they can come to California and figure out a way to work legally, at least they can be cops now. So the illegal immigrants coming over into California, if they can get the documentation, and I believe they can, to legally work here, I believe they can now go work for the San Francisco Police Department. You would have to call them and ask them that. So if any of you news stations want to do that work, go ahead. Maybe I will, since news stations are lazy. Maybe I'll just call the SFPD. Maybe I'll find out what it would take for an illegal immigrant to get the proper documentation, to get work here, and then go and apply for the SFPD. Be interesting. That'd be a whole episode right there. All right, let's look at some stuff. Let's go to KC. Let's go to KC on Twitter here. You guys may notice that all the stuff I pull up is from Twitter. It's because Twitter is way better than Google if you're trying to search and to find what's going on. People always say Google it. No, Twitter it. Go to Twitter, go to the search bar, and search there what you're trying to find. You're way more likely to find a plethora of information. Yeah, you're going to find some false information, but you find tons of information. Go through all of it and see what you think is true. Sorry. Twitter's the best way to aggregate information and also crowdsource information. So this is can't remember this guy's name. He's on Timcast all the time, I think. He does good work.
Reporting in El Paso, this is the current scene right now. As you guys can see, this is a true humanitarian crisis. This is the streets of El Paso. There are roughly 2,500 migrants released onto the streets, sleeping here. Not all migrants have NTAs. That's the noticeable here, but these are the living conditions. ¿Este es Venezuela, señor? ¿Cuántos días tienen aquí en la calle? So he said he's been waiting for 2 weeks here on the streets. The majority of the migrants that we've been speaking with are from Venezuela. We've also spoke to migrants from Nicaragua, Colombia, Turkey, Africa, and many more. But these are the current scenes here in El Paso as authorities get ready for the ending of Title 42 on May 11th. What migrants are telling me is the reason they're crossing now is because Title 42 is officially ending, and they've already spoke to other family members that have been released in the United States. Hola, hola, hola. ¿Son de Venezuela todos? No. ¿Venezuela no? ¿Cuál parte? No, de Ecuador. ¿De Ecuador? ¿Cuánto tiempo ya tienen aquí viviendo en la calle del Paso? ¿Mucho tiempo?
Ahorita.
2 días?
No, varios días, pero no recuerdo exactamente.
So he said he's been here for several days. There's also kids here. There have been reports of chickenpox breaking out in some of these migrant camps here in El Paso. But there's migrants all over the streets right now. It is a true humanitarian crisis, and it's putting a real strain on authorities here in El Paso. Now, the mayor has declared an emergency. So here, once again, we're going to look at more migrants. Hola, ¿son de Venezuela? ¿Cuál parte de Venezuela? ¿De Caracas? ¿Cuánto tiempo ya tienen aquí en las calles? 12 días? So he said he has 12 days here on the street. ¿Cuál parte de Estados Unidos van a ir? Chicago? So I've been speaking with some migrants who are trying to get destinations to cities like Denver, Houston, Chicago. They just say they don't have any money to be bust. But once again, we're going to show you one more time. This is what it looks like all over downtown El Paso right now. But stay tuned for all the updates here on the ground reporting for News Nation.
That's insane. Got some other videos coming out of El Paso. You can just see how many. It's insane. It looks like in terms of like population wise, it looks like San Francisco with how much homeless there is, because that's what this is. This is homeless people. You know, they're setting up little homeless camps. And it's funny, they're not all strung out on fentanyl and shitting on Shelly, pooping all over the sidewalk and stuff though. Well, maybe they are. Maybe that's in a different video. But yeah, there's other videos coming out of Texas. Let's look at one more. This one's pretty gnarly. Oops. Yeah, the sheer volume of people in El Paso is freaking nuts. And also in Brownsville. This one. So this is a tweet from Colin Rugg. And it says, El Paso, Texas looks like a third world country and is now a refugee camp, but rest assured the border is perfectly secure and totally not a crisis, according to the Biden administration. Don't let them fool you. DHS is preparing for 400,000 migrant crossings each month. So think about that again. So if 0.1% are cartel members, bad guys, murderers, that's 1 in 1,000, right? So that's 400 coming across the border per month. You guys, this is insane. And cartels are heavily funded. You can wire money really easily now. Like, they get here, they set up shop. Like, oh man. I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and there is legit cartel grow ups up here. There's a Joe Rogan podcast with a fish and game wildlife guy from the Sierra Azul Preserve, and I run out there all the time. And Mount Umunum, you guys know the area, Mount Umunum, like the backside of Quicksilver, Hicks Road, Lexington Reservoir, all that stuff. There's cartel grow ups in there. Like legit. There's a Joe Rogan podcast. Like, look it up. Just search like Joe Rogan Sierra Azul Preserve or something like that. And there's a whole episode with a Sierra Azul fish, a game warden. That's what he is, a game warden. And he goes all into it. And like, this isn't a joke, guys. Like, that's just weed. That's just freaking weed. You guys are seeing what's going on. Like, where do you think all this fentanyl is coming from? And this fentanyl is a new thing. This is a new drug. Everybody says, like, this is something different, guys. Like, people are dying left and right. Like, follow Better Soma on Twitter. That dude's been documenting how horrible it's getting in San Francisco. Like, this is different, guys. The border crisis is different. This fentanyl thing is different. This ain't no joke. This ain't no joke. Sorry. DHS is preparing for 400,000 migrant crossings each month. Whistleblower claims that the U.S. is the middleman in a massive child trafficking scheme through the southern border. I played that video, guys, for you a few episodes ago, and I'll play it again tonight. Chinese nationals are crossing through the southern border. The FBI can't find 85,000 lost trafficked minors. Oh, okay. The FBI can't find 85,000 lost trafficked minors. I'm super tinfoily about this because, Epstein ain't around no more, right? Well, I don't know. Maybe they needed a new source. I don't know. Folks. That's just me being tinfoily. I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Texas is now considering making their own border patrol because the crisis is so bad. Yeah, well, what do you mean now they're considering it? If that's an option, why didn't you do that a long freaking time ago? Are you guys kidding? Illegal crossings are not at record highs. Impeachable offenses. Let's watch this video. It's like 2 minutes long, 2.5. Madness. Also, any of you guys that are in construction know how much these porta-johns and these hand wash stations cost. Like, this stuff ain't cheap, you know? Like, this isn't, we're paying for all of this. So these things aren't cheap. I showed you guys the hotel in Chicago last week that wasn't allowing Americans in Chicago. Remember that? You know, because Greg Abbott and freaking DeSantis sent a bunch of migrants. I get tricked into calling that. Sent a bunch of illegal immigrants up there because, you know, they had to send them somewhere because look this is El Paso. Yeah, and we're paying for that again. I wonder what the dollar figure is on every single illegal immigrant. Like, what's the dollar figure per month? How much does that cost the taxpayer? You know, it's like, meanwhile, I get fired in San Francisco for refusing to wear a mask, and then they deny my unemployment. Like, they literally try to ruin me. And like, man, I'm sorry. I'm just complaining now. Play the video. Yeah, so you can clearly see a lot of families and kids and stuff too. And I greatly sympathize for anybody that's seeking a better life. But even if we can't absorb all of this and not have some sort of catastrophe where things break down. You know, this is not the way. Like, I sympathize with people that are searching for a better life, but this isn't the way. This is going to end in catastrophe. And how does this affect local businesses around there? This obviously isn't very helpful for local businesses around there. Yeah, it's funny. This just popped into my brain too. The how California made it legal or they dropped the requirement to be a U.S. citizen in order to become a police officer. And San Francisco is the first city to implement it. That's finally getting some traction today. I saw somebody tweet out the short video that I put in my video like on last Sunday. And I tweeted it out like 15 different times last week. Like, hey, it's no longer required to be a U.S. citizen to be a cop in California. Nobody cared. Like, it didn't get any traction. I couldn't believe it. And then today, somebody tweets out this super short little video, and like tons of people are freaking out about it. It's like, oh, okay. Okay, don't listen to me, you big jerks. Yeah, this no longer need to be a U.S. citizen to be a cop in California. So yeah, that's happening. So you guys see, this is just madness out of control in El Paso. That's happening. Like, what do you do? All right, and then this is just, I don't like politicians. You guys know this, but I did want to show you this exchange because it's pretty good. I always like it when there's a good gotcha. And this was definitely one of them in some sort of, I don't know what this hearing was or whatever they're doing, but I don't know who either of these people are, but this is just a good exchange. Let's take a listen. Sorry, folks.
I'd like to stay on the topic of Jordan, if I could, Ms. Lumpert. Is border security important?
Senator, thank you for the question. More security for Jordan or?
Border security.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, Senator, border security is very important.
Do you support physical security measures like border walls?
In Jordan, Senator?
So remember, be clear, he's not talking about the U.S. border. He's talking about Jordan, our support in Jordan.
Senator?
Let's stay on Jordan.
I think I would have to defer to the Jordanians whether they think that such measures.
Well,
would
we're
be
spending
useful.
American taxpayer dollars for border security in Jordan. Are you familiar with the president's budget request?
I am, sir, in terms of moving forward border security in Jordan, yes.
$110 million is requested in the fiscal year 2024 budget to include border security for Jordan. And you request that, you support that request. I just want to make this clear.
I do support that request.
Okay. Hasn't the United States government built a giant wall along Jordan's border?
On the border
With
between
United
Jordan
States taxpayer dollars, has the U.S. government built a wall along Jordan's border?
Like, oh, I see where
the U.S. government has worked with Jordan to enhance its border security in a variety of ways, Senator.
Let's be clear. U.S. taxpayer dollars have been deployed in this regard. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And as our nominee, you'd be responsible for overseeing future funding in this regard. Is that correct?
That is correct, Senator, if confirmed.
In fact, the omnibus last year provides for at least $150 million for border security in Jordan. It's a large amount of taxpayer dollars. And if you think about the purpose of this, is to provide physical security, to keep people from illegally crossing into Jordan. Isn't that correct?
It is to provide physical security to stop drug smugglers, to deal with the threat of Jordan's neighbor, Syria. Obviously, the conflict there
What if they have fentanyl in Jordan?
continues, and it's a dangerous neighborhood.
Well, I would think that if the funding request that's been put in place for the coming year is the size it is, there must be a belief that this sort of funding is important and that this sort of physical security is effective. Is that correct?
In the Jordanian context, I do believe that that is correct, Senator.
Well, you've been very clear to talk about this in the Jordanian context. I just think it's an important lesson for us to learn as Americans that we're spending United States taxpayer dollars to support border security in a country that we're trying to build stronger relations with. I think we ought to be learning a lesson ourselves because there's not a penny in the president's budget to support our own border security here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to stay on the topic of Jordan if I could.
So it's a pretty good gotcha, and it's funny because you could see like the moment that it like dawned in her brain, like, oh crap, I know where he's going with this. And he's totally got me. Yeah, it sucks. Freaking idiots. I don't understand too when did the border become such a like it's either open borders or nothing issue. Like there used to be like back in the 90s, Joe Biden was calling for border security. Like Clinton was calling for border security. Like I don't get what his I don't understand. I genuinely don't get it. How they have essentially opened the border. Everybody knows that's why we're getting these. You can't even remember we used to call them migrant caravans. They don't even call them that anymore because it's just a consistent flood of thousands of people. They don't even call them migrant caravans anymore because it's not even a caravan. It's a consistent, nonstop, everlasting caravan. That'd be a good band name, huh? Everlasting Caravan, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. All right, some more border videos to get through. Let me show you the Brownsville one first because this will blow your guys' mind. Yeah, this will blow you guys' mind. So this is Brownsville, the same place that had that horrific massacre that I showed you guys today with the car. The guy plowing through all the people and killing, I believe it was at least 7 or 6. Same town, Brownsville. This is Brownsville. Look at this. Look at this. This is crazy. All right, watch this video.
This is the current line right here in Brownsville, Texas. Right on the Rio Grande. These folks crossed into the United States today, and they're waiting to be processed by Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, and they will be coming to a city near you guys. Just look how long that line is. Thousands of them entering the country illegally.
And what's crazy is it hasn't even gotten to the worst point yet because Title 42 is about to end. We'll talk about that in a minute here. But yeah, that's Brownsville, the same town that massacre just happened with the car plowing through all the people. So just this is only one border crossing, guys. It's like this at tons of different border crossings. This is madness. Like when I was growing up, they would make big deals out of, you'd see like 5 or 10 people crossing over the border at a time. And then, somewhere else down the river. And like, that was a big deal back when I was a kid. This is like unfathomable. And they're just like, oh, border's fine. I don't get what's happening. It just, my tinfoil brain, this has to be on purpose. It can't not be on purpose. Yeah, let's same town, Brownsville. Same line of people. I just want to show you some drone footage of it because it's equally as insane. If I can find it for you. Sorry, guys. My bad. There it is. Yeah, this is same line of illegal immigrants in Brownsville. Madness. So you can see the guy was filming on the ground here, just on the other side of this fence. But so what do you notice? I see 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 women. The rest, these are what you call fighting age men. And this is madness. And I wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to be a woman surrounded by this many. I imagine very few of these people know each other. I don't know. Maybe they've been caravanning together for years. Like a lot of these people get residence in other countries, like on their way here. You heard him talking in the video early, coming from Chile, Guatemala, Argentina, probably Bolivia, like all over the place. I doubt they're coming from El Salvador right now because El Salvador's making some awesome moves. But all right, continue. Well, you guys get the gist of it. It's just insane. Just like a never-ending line of people. I don't understand why they want to come here. Like, what do you want to? You want to come here and be homeless? Jobs? I can't find work right now. I mean, I guess they'll find work because they don't have my political views. But yeah, we'll see. Things are going great for me on an interview last week, and all of a sudden, they just stopped talking to me. It was weird, super weird how that just keeps happening. Yeah, let's listen to this guy talk about the stuff he finds at the border. This is kind of insane too. I'll try to get to these last ones quickly because I do have some other stuff besides the border to talk about. My dogs really want inside.
So to give you an idea of the monstrosity that we were dealing with here, this was all covered in trash. Some NGOs have come in and cleaned this up. But what I would find down here is all these identification cards and passports.
Mm-hmm.
I picked all these up myself.
Just in the dirt out here?
Just on the ground. And we might find some again today. But see, these are individuals that have fled countries of violence, then gone to another country, been allowed to stay there. That's what a lot of these green ones are. They've been allowed to reside in those countries and work and live. But that's not what their original intent was. Their original intent was to get through that country to get to the United States. So they discard their passports, their ID cards, and they portray themselves as somebody different from their original country of violence. So it's a game. So we share all this with HSI. So every one of these have been shared with our federal government. But this is just a small snapshot of what I've picked up down here as far as passports.
If you're from Venezuela, right? Let me try to walk through this, right? You come over, you come up through Mexico, right? You want to discard your passport before you come over?
Yeah, because everything's given to you here.
Okay, what happens if you come over with your passport? They're going to say,
well, for some now, they're allowed to stay.
Some are allowed to stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those individuals have already reestablished residency somewhere else.
So maybe it's a Venezuelan that lived in Mexico for 5 years.
Or a year.
Or a year, okay.
And their ultimate goal was to get here.
So you get what he's saying? So he's saying, like, if somebody's an asylum seeker and they flee a country and then they establish residence in another country and then they come here, well, the U.S. is going to be like, well, what are you fleeing? You already established residence in another country. You already got asylum somewhere else. Why are you here? You know, and they're just going to send them back. So they get rid of these passports that they got where they obtained residence in another country where they sought asylum and they got it. And then they continue coming here because that was their original plan the whole time.
Right. I read a lot of the Haitians that came in, say, this last summer, or whenever that was in the last year.
Haitians.
A lot of them had lived in Chile or other places, not even Haiti.
Oh yeah.
And they recently came up, but they haven't even been in Haiti for a long time.
No.
Okay, so here's where it ends.
So here's where the fencing ends, and this is the tribal land, as you can see. So you have the Kokopah tribal land, which is sacred, sovereign land. You get some border challenge coins. Look right here. See what I was telling you about? They toss their money. So this is all money. They know when they get here, they're going to be able to.
Here's a euro.
Yeah. So
look at that.
Go ahead and pick them up.
We have a euro.
So all sorts of different currencies from all over the world, because it's not like that's the thing too. This is all painted as these are Mexican immigrants, people coming from Mexico. Is like the way this whole thing is painted, and it's not. Like, if I was a Mexican immigrant, I'd be pissed about all this stuff, you know, like, especially if you came here the legit way and built something. Like, Mexican people are the hardest working people I know, and I love them. Freaking from San Jose, you can't not. It's ingrained in the culture. It's La Raza, right? I mean, it's like the Latino community is entrenched and part of the culture and community of the Bay Area. It's like loved and celebrated. But this is something completely different. That's not what this is. I don't like using the invasion word because it's like it implies like extra sinister organization to it, and it's not. It's just a from what I can tell, a flood of everyone from everywhere that thinks that they're coming to a better life, but I don't know what they're seeking here. Why be homeless here instead of? I don't get it. Okay, yeah. Enough about that. Let's see what the Biden administration has to say about the border. You know, because I'm sure that they're totally taking accountability and, you know, saying, yeah, we messed up and we're gonna do this to fix it and get it right. I'm sure that's what they're saying about it. Let's see. Because, you know, they always take accountability. So I'm sure that's what they're going to do here. Let's see.
When it comes to illegal migration, you've seen it come down by more than 90%. And that's because of the actions that this president has taken. He has tools that he's used.
When it comes to illegal migration, you've seen it come down by more than 90%. Where did that number come from?
I was speaking.
Is telling us the number is.
I hear you. I'm about to answer.
I'm about
to answer you. If the dramatics could come down just a little bit. If the dramatics could come down a little bit.
What's dramatic about asking a question about?
Okay, I'm going to answer. So I was speaking to the parolee program. As you know, the president put in place a parolee program to deal with certain countries on ways that we can limit illegal migration, and we have seen the data has shown us that it has gone down by more than 90%. That was what I was speaking to. No, we're gonna go. We're gonna move. Go ahead.
Yes.
When it comes to illegal migration,
man, she has nightmares about Peter Doocy. He gets in her dome so bad. It's hilarious. You can see her eye starts to twitch. It's great. I mean, that's like the only good thing coming out of Fox News anymore is the hilarious stuff Peter Doocy says. I mean, well, he's not even trying to be funny. He just catches her in crap all the time. It's I hate to say it. Jen Psaki was better. Like, she's not even good at spinning. Well, I guess it's almost impossible to spin any of Biden's crap now. All right, let's see. Sorry, guys. got a little messed up here. Let me move something out of the way. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah. So with all the border stuff that we just talked about, the murders, the mass murders that are happening in Texas, we got the fentanyl crisis that's over here in San Francisco, and I'm sure other places in California as well. You had the head of the San Jose Police Union that was basically a kingpin in the fentanyl trafficking ring that, I mean, may or may not have to do with the cartels. All of that going on. And then on top of it, you've got the human trafficking aspect of this whole border crisis thing as well. There's so many aspects of this. It's not just the drugs. It's not just, the crime that's coming over. It's not just that there's tons of fighting age men coming over. It's not just that. I think there's now a avenue for illegal immigrants to now become police officers in California. It's not just all that. It's that there's also a huge human trafficking aspect of this. So let's get into that a little bit. It's madness, people. It is freaking madness. All right, let's listen to Tulsi. Well, let's listen to the guy Tulsi is interviewing here. I don't know who this dude is. But he's talking about something I played for you last show, I believe, or the show before that. And I got it queued up.
I wanted to ask you about something, substantive to this policy issue. There's a whistleblower yesterday. This just makes me sad for our country, and who comes right out of HHS, was sent to the border, goes to Congress and says, we are a middleman right now, the U.S. government, in child trafficking. And of course, we're finding kids in factories all across America. The Biden administration, they shrug their shoulders, say, we don't see those. We don't think that's a real problem.
They don't think that's a real problem. They don't think their open border policies are a real problem. They say without any smirk on their face that they think that the border is secure. All of these different examples lead to the fact that we have an administration with people who are unwilling to recognize the truth or unwilling to speak the truth, and therefore incapable of actually solving the very real problems that the American people face. That is what needs to confront Democrats, Republicans, independents. Those who care about this country need to examine the facts very carefully as we decide who will be our next president.
Okay. So let's see what he's referring to, because this lady called whistleblower doesn't really seem like a whistleblower to me, but sorry, I'm having trouble here. Technical difficulties. Let's listen to a little bit of this lady's testimony. Tara Lee Rodas. This is one of the quotes from her testimony. I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with being recruited in their home country. And basically saying that the United States government has become a middleman in this. So let's listen to her talk about it again, because I think it's very important. I'll play this on as many episodes as I have to, because I did play this already. Stand by. And this is Tara Lee Rodas.
For nearly a decade, unaccompanied children have been suffering in the shadows. And I have to confess, I knew nothing about their suffering until 2021, when I volunteered to help the Biden administration with the crisis at the southern border. As part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex Emergency Intake Site in California to help HHS, Office of Refugee Resettlement, reunite children with sponsors in the United States. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the U.S. border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations. Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children. As for me, my interest is the safety of the children. I do not view this as a political issue. I view this as a humanitarian issue. I assure you, my motives are the highest and best. I want the children. For nearly a decade.
And this shouldn't be a political issue. This is a humanitarian issue, like she said. Remember earlier, I said 85,000 children have gone missing through this whole thing. You know, she said the like forced labor for the kids. You know, they get sent to factories as laborers. These young kids. I imagine that's what happens to the boys. We all know what happens to the girls, and I imagine some horrific stuff happens to the boys as well. This border crisis it's not just one crisis. It's a threat to national security. It's addicting people to the most horrific drug this country's ever seen, fentanyl. It's creating human trafficking rings for sex and for forced labor. And it's also allowing cartels or other organized crime to come here, regather, and set up little cells if one was so inclined. Like, this isn't being conspiracy. This is actual stuff that, I mean, you know, I can't say the sleeper cells are being set up for sure, but all this other stuff is legitimately happening. You are creating an avenue for sleeper cells or whatever you want to call them. That's just, it's freaking madness to me that, well, it shouldn't be madness. It shouldn't be madness because nobody cares unless they're told to care. And all right, let's see what Trump has to say about all this, huh? Yeah, let's listen to Trump talk for a little bit. It's always usually funny. Let's see what Orange Man Bad has to say. I think it's this one. Yeah. What you got, Donald?
Under my leadership, we had the most secure border in U.S. history by far. We replaced catch and release with detain and deport. One of my most successful policies was Title 42, which allowed for instant expulsion of any illegal alien who crossed our borders. Anybody. If they were bad, we got them out. We got them out fast. Those who trespassed into our country could be immediately sent back to the place from which they came. Every would-be illegal border crosser knew that with Donald Trump in the White House, our border was closed. It was absolutely closed, and they had no chance of getting in, and therefore they didn't come. When Joe Biden came into office, he terminated every successful border policy that was put into place, including Remain in Mexico, one of the best of them all, deliberately throwing open the borders and instituting catch and release and resettling untold millions and millions of illegal aliens into the United States. They're now your neighbors. Congratulations. Now Joe Biden is preparing to remove the last remnants of my Title 42 policy just a few weeks from now, wiping out the few remaining shreds of our southern border. Hundreds of thousands of people will pour in that day, and the judge already said that's what's going to happen. This will mean complete and total mayhem and utter lawlessness, and unlimited numbers of fraudulent asylum seekers flood into the United States unchecked. They are unchecked. Nobody has any idea where they come from. They don't know if they're healthy, if they're sick. if they're insane or if they're coming from prisons. Already, tens of thousands of illegal aliens have massed on the Mexican side of the border. They're getting ready to storm across the moment Title 42, which is so important, is officially gone. Can you believe they're getting rid of it? And when that happens, countless more will charge in from all over the world. They're coming from all over the world. And some of the states like California are saying, come in and we give you free healthcare, free education. People hear that from other countries. They say, well, that sounds good to me. And they're making a mass charge toward our border. It's absolute lunacy. It will be a mass resettlement of millions and millions of illegal aliens into your communities. And the invasion will be aided, abetted, and facilitated by the Biden administration's every step of the way. Every path they take will be made easier by Biden. Congress should move immediately to choke off and terminate all funding for catch and release. We should ban Joe Biden and the communists and the administration from using a single federal taxpayer dollar to set loose illegal aliens into the United States. Now is the time we have to fight to make sure our country survives, because our country cannot take 2 more years of this invasion. And when I take the oath of office on January 20th, 2025, we will immediately begin the process of fully securing the border and removing the illegal aliens Joe Biden has unlawfully allowed to break into our country. Thank you very much.
Well, all right. He's already making campaign promises, huh? So that's what Trump said. I mean, so he's not wrong about anything he said there. He's very Trumpy in the way he said it, but yeah, he's not wrong about anything he said there. Will he pony up and do what he said he's going to do? I don't know. We'll find out. But talk about Title 42 there, and let's just see what that is a little bit. You know, everybody's talking about Title 42 is about to end. Well, let's at least look at what it is. All right, what is Title 42? What is Title 42, and what could its end mean for the border and migration? And this is from was this CBS? I'm sorry, this is from NBC News. By Susan Gamboa. This is back December. This is from December 15th, 2022. San Antonio, there's a lot of mention of Title 42 lately. With it comes images of crowds of people crossing the Rio Grande and or banks of the river that divide the United States and Mexico. As it nears the potential end, it might be a good time to understand what it's all about. What is Title 42? Title 42 is part of the U.S. law that deals with the public health, social welfare, and civil rights. It gives the federal government the ability to take emergency action and keep communicable diseases out of the country. Before then, President Donald Trump used it in 2020. It had only been used in 1929 to keep ships from China and the Philippines from entering U.S. ports during the meningitis outbreak. Trump invoked the law when the coronavirus pandemic broke out, ostensibly to prevent the spread of COVID, but mostly to drum out migrants more quickly and without having to consider them for asylum. Okay, that's speculation there. The Biden administration has continued to expel migrants from the country under the law. More than 2 million have been expelled since Trump put it into effect. Okay. Why is there talk about lifting Title 42? The Biden administration had repeatedly sought to end the policy, but it remains in effect after the Supreme Court granted an emergency appeal on December 27th by 19 Republican state attorney generals who sought to defend the measure. The High Court agreed to hear oral arguments in the case in February, with a decision due by the end of June. In a separate case, the administration's previous efforts to unwind the policy had been blocked by a federal judge in Louisiana. Why is Title 42 controversial? Immigration and the humanitarian groups accused the Trump administration of using the pandemic as a pretext to deny tens of thousands of migrants the chance for humanitarian relief through asylum. Okay. They've also criticized the Biden administration for continuing to use it. The groups have said the measure stokes racism and allows for discrimination because some countries, such as Venezuela, have been exempt. The Biden administration started applying Title 42 to Venezuelans in October, and their numbers have dropped. Okay. On the other hand, after a lull in immigration at the end of the Obama administration, including net zero migration from Mexico, the U.S. has seen jumps in the number of people arriving on the border. World events, economic disparities, cartels, expanding smuggling operations, congressional inaction, and outdated immigration laws have returned the number of times border officers encounter people crossing into the country illegally to figures seen in the early 2000s. Yeah, right. These figures are so much higher than anyone has ever seen, you liars. Oh, God. What do I expect from NBC News? Okay, so it looks like they're getting rid of like this. It's just something that Trump used as a precedent to basically plug the border a little bit and be able to deport some people. That's what it looks like. And looks like Biden's getting rid of that too. So already, sending the shout out to the entire world that, hey, the border's wide open. Well, now they're also getting rid of this one tool that they had, I guess, to use them or to keep them out. I don't see how this changed things much. I mean, they're coming in. I don't see why it's going to speed up the amount of people that are coming in. I don't know. Maybe it will. Who knows? I don't know. We shall see. No, I'm going to skip this one. Yeah, I'm going to skip that one. Yeah, I'll leave the California stuff for next episode because I need to get over to this bank stuff. Yeah, we only got a few more minutes. So I do want to talk about the bank stuff because next week might be interesting. I don't know. There's definitely a video from the FDIC, a meeting that the FDIC had amongst themselves that you should all really hear. And them talking openly amongst themselves about how to deal with what they know is coming should frighten everyone. So I do want to play this for you guys. So we're off the border. We're gonna go over and start talking about the banking freaking collapse that's happening, and it's insane. It's insane that everybody seems to be like, "This is fine. This is fine. Everything's burning," but whatever. Let's see. Let's listen to the FDIC. Sorry, got all out of sorts there. That's what it is. Yeah, you guys need to see this. If you haven't seen this yet, this should be somewhat frightening.
It should be there. It should be accessible when people need to know. But I don't think you have much hope of reaching a public that doesn't have a professional need to know.
I completely agree with that. I almost think you'd scare the public if you put this out. Like, why are they telling me this? Should I be concerned about my bank? Like, my insurance company doesn't tell me what they're doing with my assets. They just assume they're going to pay my claim. Right? I think you've got to think of the unintended consequences of taking a public that has more full faith and confidence in the banking system than maybe people in this room do. That we want them to have full faith and confidence in the banking system. They know the FDIC insurance is there. They know it works. They put their money in. They're going to get their money out. So there's a select crowd of people that are in the institutional side. And if they want to understand this, they're going to find a way to understand this. There's a bunch of law firms represented in this room. There's a bunch of people that charge them by the hour a lot of money to explain this all to them. And it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And they all have huge staffs. But I would be careful about the unintended consequences of starting to blast too much of this out in the general public.
They know what's coming, guys. I don't know if you guys paid attention last week, but more dominoes are falling. This is a pretty funny Yeah, this is kind of shocking. This is like where the week ended last week. Just want to show you this graph. This is from Whale Wire, but look at this. 100% of all regional banks in the United States have their stocks in the red today for the first time ever in history. This comes the day after the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the U.S. banking system was stronger than ever. Remember, they just was it First Republic Bank? Was that the most latest one to fall? But I mean, look at this: PacWest, Western Alliance, First Horizon. Yeah, that was like all these banks are in public. First Republic, right there. Like all of these banks are in trouble. You're going to see a big bank. So again, you guys already know what I think. I think this is a consolidation of all the monies into four banks, all the debt, everything, all the assets, everything into like, a small amount of banks where all of them are going to play ball with this whole Fed now, central bank digital currency crap, and then they will own your bank account, your credit cards, all that crap, and then all of your transactions will have to go through them, and you'll just be adopted into it. You will still, your stuff will still work the same way. The bank will tell you, rest assured, especially you guys that use like Apple Pay or whatever. Like, I don't know. I really think that all this is by design as well. I think all of this stuff's by design. Yeah, all these regional banks are failing. I think next week is going to be very interesting. This is not financial advice. Nothing I say is financial advice because I'm a retard. Don't listen to me ever about money, ever. Just look at what I'm showing you and make your own decisions. But this is kind of funny. Just really quick show you because it's funny, funny in a dark way, but funny nonetheless. Little tic-tac-toe action here. So these are the banks that have already fallen down. We've got Signature Bank, First Republican Bank, Silicon Valley Bank's on here somewhere, Silvergate, there's Silicon Valley Bank down there, and then Western Alliance, and also Credit Suisse. Yeah, I forgot about Credit Suisse. That's a pretty big bank too. So, like all these other banks are pretty big. I think, well, Citigroup. Yeah. So which one's going to be next, guys? Pay attention. I think next week is going to be wild, personally. So I am personally trying to figure out a way to not use the banking system. I'm trying to figure out a way to just completely bypass the banking system altogether. And I've gotten closer, but I don't know if I have it figured out yet. I still haven't gone and set up my ledger device. This is the Ledger. What is it? Nano? I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of the device, but basically, this is a device that'll allow you to access all your Bitcoin, and you'll have like something that's essentially an account number associated with it, and that's how you access your Bitcoin. But if they also make some sort of device that's like a credit card that I can swipe that accesses my Bitcoin and then in real time digitally transfers it over to US dollars, then as far as I can tell, you have now bypassed the banking system. If you basically, I don't know, you can still have a bank account, right? Just take out cash or put it on like a prepaid credit card or something, and then buy Bitcoin with it through your ledger. And then when you go to purchase stuff, you could just use your ledger credit card device thing. So I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not giving any financial advice or telling you guys what you should do at all in that regard. Not saying that at all. We're gonna leave the California stuff until next week. And I'm going to leave the Dutch farmer stuff until next week as well. But I do want to show you this quick Tucker video that came out that I found pretty interesting. So let me share that with you guys really quick. It's from the chief nerd here. Yeah, this will be probably the last thing I share with you guys tonight because I am hungry. I need to get some food in my belly, folks. All right, let's watch this quick Tucker and Tulsi Gabbard clip.
There are members of Congress who are controlled by the intel agencies. I'm not speculating on this. You know, I lived there for 35 years. I know this. I had a very high-ranking member of the House Intel Committee tell me at dinner at a restaurant in Washington when he'd been drinking, we got to talk about this. And I said, oh, I'll text you. He goes, I can't text. And I said, why is that? And he goes, well, because NSA reads my text. And I said, NSA reads it? Wait, you're the head guy on the Intelligence Committee. You're their boss. You're providing oversight in our constitutional system. He's like, yeah, but, you know, they're still spying at me. First thing. Second thing, Michael McCall, who is, you know, the leader of, I would say, the neocons in the House, kind of low-key neocons, but neocons. I got into an argument with him once last year on the phone. He told somebody that I was a Russian agent or something, and I was outraged. So I called him on the phone, and I used bad language. I was really mad. And he said, whoa. I just got that, that's what the intel briefers told me, that you were working for Russia. And I said, that's what the intel briefers told you? You believe your fucking intel brief? Like, how old are you, son? I'm from DC. My dad was in this world. Like, you're being manipulated by your intel briefers.
It's a big shocker, right? I mean, it's nothing we didn't already know, but it seems like all the conspiracy-y stuff that used to seem fringe is now, I mean, pretty surface level. It's pretty standard, Like it doesn't take much to prove anything that is a conspiracy nowadays. Like the fact that, they say there's so many words that have a negative connotation around them, like the deep state, for example, mainly because Trump said them. But how are we going to say that there's not a deep state? How are we going to say that there's not a two-tier justice system? The DOJ has been weaponized. It's clear. And you don't even have an oversight committee that can keep them in check because all our communications are monitored. They can't even talk openly. So that's the power that the deep state, the DOJ, the CIA, the NSA, all of them, the power that they have acquired is so immense that most people have no idea that they are the ones that are pulling the strings. Like that's why they hate Trump so much. It's not because Trump's good and they're evil. I mean, Trump, I don't know, say what you want about him, but Trump don't go along with their game plan, and that's a threat to them. Trump is a very clear threat to the deep state, and the people that tried to warn us about this the most, look what happened to him. Chelsea Manning, freaking Edward Snowden, Assange, what's still happening to Snowden and Assange. If Trump wants to get elected again, he needs to come out and say, like, one of the first things I'm going to do along with this border is pardon Assange and pardon Snowden. Like, he'll get so many people to vote for him immediately right there if he just said that. But anyway, all righty. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to talk about for tonight. There's plenty of other stuff I want to get into. I want to talk about the Dutch farmers and what they're doing over there to confiscate land, making people sell their land and make it so they can't even start up farms anywhere else in the EU. It's pretty crazy what's going on. And then, there's other wild stuff coming out of Oakland as always. And, you know, you got this whole thing. Everybody's paying attention to the protests going on out in New York, going on in the subway and everything about that dude that died. But there's also the dude that was shot in San Francisco at the Walgreens by the security guard. That, you know, that thing seems to be gaining some traction as well. So we'll see about that. And then we also got California reparations panel approved payments of up to $1.2 million for every black citizen. So we'll get into that too next episode. Yeah, next episode will be Wednesday. Yeah, if you guys have made it this far, actually, let's see how far we have made it. We got can I tell how many people are over watching on Rumble? I'm not even sure. I don't even know how to tell. But all right, well, you guys know how we do. Yeah, if you've made it this far, and you want to support the show and you like the show, please see in the bottom of this description, there's ways to support. I do have a Give, Send, Go set up. There's a link in my Twitter bio. A great way to support this show is a like, a thumbs up. That's always super helpful. A share. If you think you got a friend that's into podcasts that might enjoy the show, Californians particularly, let them know about it. Shares. I would really like to turn this into something. I've been getting a lot of good feedback and getting some hate too, but I don't know. I think I got something here, guys. I like doing this. It's fun. But yeah, I'm not making any money at all. So, but that's not really why I'm doing it right now. It'd be great if someday I could turn this into a career, but I know that's a long ways away. But if you do want to support the show, I'd much appreciate it. But I gratefully appreciate you guys just tuning in and watching. And before we go tonight, you know how we do it. Got to read a joke from the greatest book of all time, The Truth About Chuck Norris. I'm gonna scan through a random joke that I come across. Hope it's a good one. This one's long. Let's go with the long Chuck Norris joke. Okay, you guys ready? All right. Chuck Norris's girlfriend once asked him how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if Chuck. Oh, this is gonna be hard, guys. I'm gonna have to start over. Okay, I'm gonna try and get through this hard. This is gonna be a difficult one. Chuck Norris's girlfriend once asked him how much wood a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Chuck then shouted, "How dare you rhyme in the presence of Chuck Norris?" And ripped out her throat. Holding his girlfriend's bloody throat in his hand, he bellowed, "Don't fuck with Chuck." 2 years and 5 months later, he realized the irony of his statement and laughed so hard that anyone within a 100-mile radius of the blast went deaf. That's a horrific joke. That's a horrific joke. Who wrote this book? Ian Spector. You're a sick fuck. Did you come up with that joke? Sorry, Shelley, I cursed. But so did Chuck. And you rhymed, which is what was the ironic part about the whole joke. This joke about Chuck Norris murdering his girlfriend. I'm sorry, guys. That wasn't a great one. I'm sorry. I know. I should do better. I'll scan the next joke better next time, but I'm not reading another one. That's the rule. All right, everyone. I thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on Wednesday. Stay CaliBased.